Okay, this is going to be a demonstration of my research. So what I did was I started with a game of solitaire, and I played 400 and, gosh, a lot of them, 476 I think. So the variation on the solitaire that I played was I only draw one card at a time, and I'm allowed to pass through the deck as many times as I'd like. Now, if I can beat the game on my first pass through the deck, then I count that as a perfect game. The probability of that I found was about 2%. Let's see. So let me try to play through this. So as you can see, I was not able to beat the game on my first pass through the deck. So now I'm going to go through my second pass on the deck, and this time I'm going to count how many cards I'm going to draw from the deck before I win. If I don't win, well, that number isn't important. And there's a 50% chance that I will not win. So now I'm going to keep track of how many cards I need in order to win, if I do win. So there's one. I'm going to tally here. And this game is really not looking very good. So that's 2. That's 3. That's 4. And that's 5. Okay, now I'm going to be speeding up the video. And the thing to take away from this game is that stack of red, the cards whose faces you cannot see in the upper left-hand corner, is the stack that's contributing to those tallies on the right. So every time I get a card out of that stack, I put a tally on the right-hand side. And that's where my numbers are coming from for this research project. You're going to be able to see towards the end of this game, that stack is going to be gone. When that happens, you'll see that no more tallies are showing up on the right, which means that I no longer need to draw cards. I cannot draw any more cards. So here it is. No tallies on the right are contributing again. There's the 8, there's the 9, here's this. So it looks like I'm going to be able to finish this game. And that's pretty much the game right there. Because now the only thing that's left is to put all these cards up here. And then technically you win. But I just call it quits right there. I've won. That's just a formality now of putting these cards up here. So it looks like after, gosh, how many is this? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 61. After going through the deck the initial time, it took me 61 more card draws in order to win this game. So that's the number that I got from this win. Alright, let's try a new game and see what happens. So you saw the process of counting how many cards it takes. So just to clarify things, let's do it again. So if I can beat the game on my first pass through this set of cards, I count that as a perfect game. I only start counting actual card draws from this deck on my second pass through. So let's see what happens. Okay, so that was my first pass through the deck. I did not win. So now on my second pass through the deck, I'll start counting how many cards it takes me to win, if I can win. So that's going to be 1. So this is not a perfect game in my own definition of perfect game. This is 2. This is 3. This is 4. Oh man, that red 9 would really be helpful right now. So that was 5. Here we go. That's 6. That's 7. 8. 9. Okay, so I keep counting. Okay, I know I got some 8s in there, so this is going to move stuff around. This is 15, or that's 10, I'm sorry. It's 11. Uh-oh. Looks like I don't know if I'm going to be able to win. This better open things up here. Well, it looks like it is. That's it. So I won, and I only needed to draw 11 times from my deck here after going to the deck the initial time. So let's try again. So you can see that this time last time it only took me 11. The time before it was a whole lot more. And so I found that the average was it takes 18 cards after your initial pass through the deck. Now that initial stack of cards is 24 cards. So if you want to know how many card draws it actually takes in order to win a game of solitaire like this, you add the initial 24 to the 18 average that I got, and you get, what is that, 32, about 42? So that's how many card draws it takes on average in order to win a game of solitaire like this. That is, if you win. There's only a 50% chance of winning. So let's see what we get this time. Okay, I'm going to speed things up here again. As you can see, there's no marks going into my tallies on the right. That's because this is my first pass through the deck. And if I were to win, then I would count that win as a perfect game. And that's one of the statistics that I was keeping. I found that 2% of games I was able to win on my first pass through that deck. Okay, so now I've gone through the deck the first time. So now I start tallying. That was 24 card draws on the first time around, but if I had won, then I'd call it a perfect game. But I have not won by now, so now I start counting cards. And this is the number that I was averaging. So that's 1. And I might not win. So if I don't win, then I put a tally on another column in my data called did not finish or lost. So there is no average on those ones. There's no number. But overall, out of the 400 and almost 500 games I played, 50% won, 50% lost. On only 2% of games was I able to win on my first pass through this deck here. Okay, this is going to be the last time that I speed it up. And in this instance, it doesn't go so well for me. I'm trying to put the cards in their proper places, but like I said, half the time you don't win. That's part of the thrill, the exhilaration of playing solitaire, is winning or perhaps not winning. So at this point, since I was able to go through this deck of cards without placing any cards, I know I'm stuck. I can't do anything. I can't put this card down, this card down. None of these cards can I put down anywhere. So that means the game is over and I've lost. In that case, this number doesn't matter here, because this number represents how many times I needed to draw from this pile after my initial pass through the pile in order to win. Since I did not win, this number is not relevant to my loss. So I've lost, and that goes into a separate place in my data. I say, okay, I lost. So that would be one game in the 50% of the games that I lost. The other games that you saw, I won. Those two games would go into the 50% of the games that I won. And the number here would be relevant to that 50%. Now, in very special circumstances, this number would be 0 And that means that I was able to win the game on my first pass through. So that means I never had to get to the end of the deck, this 24 cards here, and then flip it over. I was done by that point. I call that a perfect game. That means that I won with less than, or with 24 draws from the deck, the first 24. I was able to take those 24 first draws and win. And I found that there's a 2% chance of doing that. Out of, I played almost 500 games. So I call that a perfect game. Anything else is, that of course is a win. And that contributes 2% to the 50% of games that I won. So that's it. That's how the experiment was conducted. And that's how my research was.